Welcome in. Made the mistake of staying up until the end of the basketball game before we went live tonight. It is late, and they played poorly, and so we're not even really going to talk about it at all. You've got to be able to score the basketball if you want to win basketball games, and Ole Miss right now can't do the whole putting the ball through the hoop thing. So we're going to put that aside, and we're going to talk about the eventful day that was Ole Miss football. And I mean, the college football playoff ranking came out, and it was that was the biggest thing today for Ole Miss. Getting not only staying on the right side of the hosting bubble, but moving up a spot. I think guaranteeing hosting a playoff game in Oxford. So you get that. You get the news that Charlie Weis Jr. is going to return for now. To call the offense, and then you have a flurry of players, and I don't think that this concept is done either. Noteworthy players, meaningful players, speaking out against what was, as we told you many times on here and on the radio show, a lie about players expressed to Keith Carter they wanted Lane to stay, and that was a lie. And the players are expressing their displeasure with what the narrative has been all over social media. So we'll talk about that and more with you on this edition of the show. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, wherever you get your podcasts, or right here on YouTube. Just search the name Rebel Report Podcast, and you will find it there and subscribe. And if you like what you hear, leave a rating and a review. And also, this podcast is brought to you in part by Toyota of Brookhaven. Check them out online. Oh, 1 second. Hold on. I just got an email from Ole Miss. The press conference tomorrow has been canceled. It was supposed to be at 2:00. Here's a statement from Pete Golding. So he was going to do his introductory press conference. Here's what he said. Quote, after reconsidering tomorrow's activities, I've decided to shift the focus back to where it belongs, the team. Our players have not received the notoriety they deserve for their remarkable accomplishments this season. They have given their all to Ole Miss, and I want to see the spotlight placed on them in the mission in front of us. This time is not about my start as head coach. It's about finishing the season story with a playoff run, and we look forward to discussing the next step in that journey following such an announcement. Okay. I'm actually going to screenshot that and post that on the interwebs, and then we can get started. See if I can multitask here. I'm going to try to tweet and also tell you about Toyota of Brookhaven. Check them out online, toyotaofbrookhaven.com. That is the website. You don't have to have a Brookhaven address to have a great car buying experience. Give me 1 second. I can't do both. Ole Miss cancels tomorrow's. Sorry, I'm doing this in real time. Pete Golding, introductory. I can't type. Introductory press conference. Here's why, according to the head coach. It's been reported elsewhere. It was apparently a major problem, obviously with the team, but also within members of the coaching staff, including Pete Golding in particular, that the way everything went down bothered him in particular, that this team should have been recognized a lot more. I mean, we've talked about it before. They have two players that should be getting Heisman buzz, and they weren't even discussed. They weren't even talked about. It wasn't a thing because all the attention was on their head coach, and that is a very pointed statement. Ole Miss has spent the day reclaiming any momentum from a PR perspective that Lane Kiffin may have had. He didn't really have much, but he told a lot of things that you could argue are not true at his introductory press conference, and that has already soured rather quickly. So anyway, so that just got put out there. And so no Pete Golding press conference tomorrow, which I'm bummed about because I was looking forward to hearing from him and playing that and talking about that on the radio show. But alas, we move on. Toyota, Brookhaven.com, exit 40 in Brookhaven. $1,000 off on me if you just tell them that I sent you. Any in-stock new Toyota, $1,000 off on me. They have a great used selection and also in-house financing and more. Check them out at toyotabrookhaven.com. So the first and the biggest thing is the college football playoff rankings. That is even bigger than the Charlie Weis storyline, which we'll get to here in just a second. Sorry, allergies and stuff are killing me, so forgive me if I have to pause randomly and do a very unattractive motion. Anyway, okay. There's a lot of talk, as you guys know, going into this selection about what they should do with Ole Miss, and we talked through it about how, look, if they don't have a data point of what Ole Miss looks like without Lane Kiffin, they have said themselves they're not going to move Ole Miss without Lane Kiffin. They're not going to punish them for that because they have not seen it. And sure enough, at least for this ranking, we'll know officially, finally on Sunday. For this ranking, they were true to their word. Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Georgia 3, Texas Tech 4, Oregon 5, Ole Miss 6, Texas A&M 7, Oklahoma 8, Alabama 9, Notre Dame 10, BYU 11, Miami 12, Texas 13, Vanderbilt 14, Utah 15. We don't have to go much further, although Virginia is the highest ranked ACC team in the ACC championship game. And you've got Tulane at 20. They're playing North Texas. You've got James Madison in there as well, battling for that final spot. The bracket, if the playoff started today, and it doesn't, you have championship weekend upcoming. Ole Miss would be the 6, hosting what would be the 11. Presumably, that would be the ACC champion. I do not foresee two. I mean, but here's the thing. If Duke wins the ACC, I guess they could, in theory, stay behind James Madison or whoever. But Ole Miss would be either playing Virginia or one of the group of 5 teams as the 6-11, with Georgia being the 3. Now, people looked at this and thought, oh, I don't want to play Georgia. That's a bad draw. Something is going to happen in the top 4. Ohio State and Indiana are going to play each other. One of those teams has to lose. Georgia, if they win, I assume, will jump one of the 2 teams that loses. I mean, if it's Indiana, then Georgia would jump Indiana, but I still think both teams in the Big Ten championship are going to get a bye, and therefore it would be more likely Indiana or Texas Tech Ole Miss would play in the second round than Georgia. Something has to happen to Georgia. They will either move up or they will move down, but they will not stay at 3. If Ole Miss stays at 6, I promise you Georgia will not stay at 3. Ole Miss being at 6 is very important for a lot of reasons. Again, I think it guarantees that Ole Miss will be hosting a playoff game. That there is not the opportunity for 3 teams to jump Ole Miss on Championship Saturday. Alabama could. I mean, now that Texas A&M and Oklahoma are done playing like Ole Miss, I don't know how you can rank them this way now and then change that coming up on Sunday. That doesn't make sense because they are done playing. There's no more data points that you could add. BYU, who's currently left out of the field, being at 11, maybe them beating Texas Tech could jump Ole Miss. That is possible. But nobody else is capable or should be capable of doing that because, again, only behind Ole Miss right now, only Alabama and BYU and Virginia all the way down to 17 are playing this weekend and can improve their standing. So there's no way that they are losing 3 spots. And I do think that you really are wanting to root hard for Georgia this weekend. For whatever your rooting interest is worth, you want Georgia to win the SEC championship game so you can remain at number 6. And for good measure, go ahead and make sure. I don't think BYU would jump Ole Miss, but just to ensure that they don't, you root for Texas Tech this weekend as well. You want to be paired up with the ACC champion or a group of 5 team. That is what you want. You want to stay at number 6, but Ole Miss getting selected at number 6 is huge because, again, I think you're guaranteeing that playoff spot. This is what the team deserves. It was the right decision from the College Football Playoff Committee. You have not seen what Ole Miss looks like without Lane Kiffin. You cannot punish them for something that you have not seen yet. This is not comparable to Florida State. We talked about it last time. Those are disingenuous comparisons. I've seen a lot of that out there. Nuance is just gone in sports conversation anymore. Florida State dropped one spot from 4 to 5. They would have hosted a college football playoff game 3 years ago or 2 years ago when Travis got hurt. And also, there was a 2-game sample size of what they looked like without him. It's apples to oranges. Those are not, that is not an apt comparison, but people continue to make it because, again, there is no room for nuance in sports conversation. So, anyway, really, really big news for Ole Miss there. Playoff football is coming to Oxford, Mississippi, and I've told you guys this before. You have not in your life as a sports fan experienced what it will be like for you to have a home playoff game in Oxford. It'll be unlike any weekend you've ever had, and yes, that includes the baseball national championship. Truly, it'll be unlike anything you've ever participated in before. So that's item number one. Big news for Ole Miss. They're going to host a playoff game. That is outstanding stuff. Second thing, Charlie Weis Jr. is going to coach the playoffs. Lane Kiffin released a statement. Oh, the ever so charitable Lane Kiffin. What a kind just giving soul that Lane Kiffin is. How selfless is he to not only allow Charlie Weis Jr. to coach in the playoffs, but he even called the committee to let them know. And Weis also released a statement. His was much shorter and less gaslighting, but this is a weird situation unfolding, and I think that the information around it is not done coming out. I don't think the end of the story involving Charlie Weis Jr. is simply he's on loan and he's just going to rush right back to Baton Rouge and all is well. I don't think that's the end of this story. I could be wrong. I would not be surprised if he's not coaching at either Ole Miss or LSU next year. That is not something that I'm guaranteeing, but people misread Wilson Alexander's reporting on that whole deal anyway. You've got to really read reports before you can comment on them. But it's a bizarre situation. Either way you want to spin it, even if that is true that, 100% locked in, wants to be nowhere else in the world than LSU, and he's just coming back to Ole Miss out of the kindness of his heart and the charitable giving of Lane Kiffin, and he's just going to run right back to Baton Rouge, and there's no other options on the table. I don't buy that there are no other options on the table right now. There are other things going on. So, whatever. Regardless of that result, you still have the optics of he got on an airplane with Lane Kiffin. That did happen. He did fly to Baton Rouge. And he is, at the present, going to be LSU's offensive coordinator. So how do you balance not allowing and I know why, but the question that we got asked a bunch on the radio show today, and it's a fair question, how can you be sure that the problems that Lane Kiffin would have created being around are not going to be the same problems that Charlie Weis Jr. will create being around? Are you sure you want LSU's offensive coordinator in your building for at a minimum of 3 weeks coaching your players and doing all that? It's a fair question. It absolutely is. The benefit to doing this for Ole Miss, I think what's most important for this team now and what's best for the program moving forward are two different answers. What's best for this current football team is to have everything look and feel and sound as similarly as possible as it's been all season long. Continuity is the most important thing. And having Charlie Weis Jr. being their play caller, their offensive coordinator through the playoffs is what they're used to. It's the same voice. It's the same, even habits and meetings, but it's everything would be the same. And if he were not to have come back, if they wouldn't allow this to happen, you do run the risk of One, I mean, who would it be? Who would be your play caller? What would it be? Joe Judge? He hasn't really done it from a primary perspective before. But you run risks when it's different of taking a larger step back than you need to. So the concept of continuity is very important for the playoff run. I think that is a big benefit for Ole Miss in this is that offensively it will sound and be prepared for and be the same. So they needed that. I think that this is the best thing to have happened to this team regarding the playoff coming up in the absence of Lane Kiffin is retaining Charlie Weis Jr. to be the play caller. But the other side of it is you've got currently LSU's offensive coordinator in your building now. How are you sure that he's going to give you maximum effort? How are you sure that it's not going to be odd or wrong or whatever? Again, it's a fair question. I understand where they're coming from. It is a little bit different when Lane Kiffin's no longer the boss, though. I think this would have become a circus if Ole Miss would have allowed Lane Kiffin to continue coaching this football team. I think it would have become a circus. You're seeing the displeasure from players, prominent players being voiced on social media. They did not like this process at all. And they are letting everybody know what they feel about the way Lane Kiffin treated them and handled his exit. Lane's not the boss anymore. Pete Golding is. And I do think that makes it easier to try to block out the possibility of any sort of nefarious activity anyway. And if there were even a scent of anything not being on the up and up, you quickly dispatch of him, right? Because if Lane were still around, if things were not on the up and up, you would expect, him to encourage that, let alone not put a stop to it. But also, from what I understand about Charlie Weis Jr., and some of you guys might roll your eyes at this or disagree with me, I think it would have been a big concern if Lane Kiffin would have been allowed to coach the playoff about the way the way he would have prepared, the way he would have handled it all. Would he have been personally distracted? How much of an issue would that have caused internally? As far as I understand it, you don't have to have that worry with Charlie Weis Jr. You don't have to be afraid of the guy calling the offense being well prepared and truly putting in the work that is necessary to put the team in the best position to win. I know he got on the plane. I understand the optics of that, and people don't like that. And frankly, I don't like that. This is an odd situation. I think Pete Golding was put in kind of a no-win situation, though. You need continuity for this team this year right now for the playoff run. And in order to get that, you kind of have to deal with kind of a gross situation and optically kind of poor seeing him get on that airplane. But if what I've been told about Charlie Weis Jr. is correct, you don't have to worry about work and preparedness and effort going into this team and it being done the right way. I really do not believe that you have to worry about that. And again, Pete Golding is there now and he calls all of the shots. And trust me, everybody there is going to be prepared to put an end to any kind of nefarious things going on as a result of this. But I also don't expect there to be any of that going on as a result of this. And then finally, you've seen the player tweets. You saw it from Bryson Sanders. Straight up called him a liar. They've been quoting the Kiffin statement where he said that the team lobbied on behalf of him to Keith Carter. And here's the direct quote. My request to do so was denied by Keith Carter, despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them so they could better maintain their high level of performance. That didn't happen. And I told you guys that didn't happen. Neil and Chase told you that didn't happen. Now the players are taking they're putting their voice out there, and they are telling you that it didn't happen. Bryson Sanders was first. Suntarian Perkins jumped in on that as well. PJ Wilkins, Jaden Williams. You've got family members, wives of coaches going online and straight up talking about how their jobs were threatened on the way out the door. That's one of the benefits of social media, I suppose, is the players get to have their own voice now in a situation like this where Lane Kiffin went to Baton Rouge and got behind a podium and lied about the process. He lied about not knowing that he wouldn't be able to coach the playoffs until the last minute. That's not true. He lied about the players wanting him to coach in this, and that is by the overwhelming majority anyway. There are a few, of course. You're not going to get 85 18 to 23-year-old men to agree on everything all the time, but the overwhelming majority of the team did not want him to stay. It was confrontational, even that they did not want him around, and they are happy now that they can, focus on themselves again and not be constantly worried about what their coach is going to do. The stuff about the got ran off the road on the way to the airport. There is absolutely none whatsoever evidence to suggest that that was the case, especially when he had a police escort. Now you're, what is it? The transportation commissioner of the state of Mississippi is making fun of him on online as a result, and viral videos that are going out there. The process was handled so incredibly poorly, and leaving a playoff team was already not going to be received well to begin with. But obviously, lying through the process to anybody that is looking at it through, either through red and blue Ole Miss fan glasses or an objective lens, has seen what has gone on here. And an exceptional football coach tried to burn a program down on his way out the door as he was leaving an 11-win team, and then tried to turn around and tell everybody that he cared about them. And the players now have taken their voice back and are telling you, no, that is not true at all. He doesn't care about us at all. And here's exactly why. So you got to love him for it, especially the offensive line being the most vocal in all of this. But it is obvious that Lane Kiffin has tried, and I promise you he will continue to try to burn Ole Miss down on his way out the door, because he obviously believes that he has been wronged. He's an idiot for believing that. Ole Miss handled this about as well as they possibly could, considering the circumstances surrounding a 50-year-old man-child. And it's a shame that it ended this way, because the players did deserve better, and they are letting it be known now that they felt like they have deserved better. So we'll get to your comments. I know it's really late. We're going to kind of rapid fire through these. It is I should not have stayed up for that basketball game. I'm sorry that we waited that long, but there's a good bit of you in here. So we'll rapid fire through these comments and get out of here, and then be back live on Thursday night to talk more about the Pete Golding era at Ole Miss, and also signing day tomorrow. Would not be surprised if some things happen on signing day. Considering, Pete Golding shows up to the basketball game and was like, "Hey, I'm here to talk for a minute, and I'm going right back to the facility. I got to keep working the phones." He said that in his speech. This has been a fascinating day where players have had enough of it. Most everybody that's not repped by CAA saw right through it. Players voiced their displeasure, and Ole Miss gets ranked 6th in the college football playoff poll. What a day. We'll get to your comments after I tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Advantage Business Systems. Check them out online at absms.com. Advantage Business Systems has you covered. If you're a Mississippi business and you need office technology, anything from copiers and printers and mail machines all the way up to cloud storage and data security, absms.com. That is where you need to go. Tell them I sent you, and you'll get a complimentary office technology assessment. So again, you tell them what you need, what your budget is, and they'll give you a solution on me, absms.com. Also, Priority One Bank, they make you their priority every single day with their online banking platform, their local loan servicing and decision-making, their 16 locations here in Mississippi. They will make you their priority because it's in the name. It's what they do. Check them out at Priority One Bank. Thoughts on this Frank Wilson stuff at LSU? Seems like the Rat is off to a good start at his new job. Yeah, I wish I was more informed. I've only just kind of seen that from the outside looking in, but it's obvious that there were some expectations about staff there, and those expectations have not been fulfilled quite yet. And it being signing day tomorrow, you are in kind of scramble mode. And that, look, he's a brilliant football coach. He really is. He's great, and he'll figure it out. But drama follows him everywhere. And he's not even 48 hours into the job officially at LSU, and there's already drama involving assistants and involving recruiting and dragging your feet and people not knowing what to expect or what they're doing. And that this is what LSU hired. Welcome to the Lane Kiffin era. This is what it's going to be. You're going to have fun offenses. You're going to have probably great football teams. And you're going to have unnecessary drama that probably holds you back from being even better than you could be. If he was just normal, he'd have multiple national championships by now. But he's destructive, and you're seeing that already in Baton Rouge. It is what it is. Yeah, it's an odd situation. The fact that they're letting an LSU coach in the playoffs still blows my mind. It's just you're kind of in a no-win situation when it comes to this. Hopefully, Pete can talk Weis into staying. Is that possible, or did he already sign with LSU? I could be wrong. As I understand it, it was not a contract; it was an offer sheet, and those are apparently two different things. I don't know. I truly don't. Enough people have said that the story is not quite over yet for me to not believe that. Wonder how recruiting is going. I mean, anything good that happens tomorrow is just awesome, considering that Pete Golding took over the job just a couple of days ago. So whatever happens tomorrow, if any good news happens, it's a larger magnitude than if it were just to be a regular staff that had been in place for years or whatever. So I have no idea what signing day is going to look like, considering the offensive side doesn't know who their OC is going to be next year. But any positive news is magnified, considering how quickly he got the job, or how recently he got the job, I should say. In regards to the playoffs, you want all the championship games to go to chalk, right? Yes. Yes, you do. Because if I'm looking at this correctly, if all the championship games go to chalk, you will be playing Virginia, and the three would be the loser of the Big Ten championship or Texas Tech. Yeah, that's the draw you want. Absolutely. You don't want Alabama, I don't think. You don't want A&M, you don't want Notre Dame, and you don't want Georgia or Ohio State in the second game. You want Virginia, and you want Indiana or Texas Tech. That's the path that you want. So, yeah. Pete's going after recruits. Absolutely, he is. Lane letting Weis coach is how adults do things. Ho Tigers. Yeah. Funny end line there, LSU fan, but there is nothing about what you are going to deal with Lane Kiffin at LSU. That will be how adults do things. So buckle up, man. Well, I use the media power to ask if Pete will consider removing the barricades from the Walk of Champions. I sure hope that is the case. That was only a Lane Kiffin thing. And, as the Grove gets bigger, maybe they like avoiding the safety hazard, especially, it's going to sound kind of goofy, right? This is more of an old man yells at cloud take. They need to go back to a few things. Not all change is good. And I don't think you should hamstring yourself to tradition, because then you end up just looking like Texas A&M and all that goofy stuff that they do. But the Walk of Champions was better when they didn't have the barricades. It was better when the players either were in matching suits or like jumpsuits, right? Like that look was so much better than what it is currently. Um, the pregame stuff, I don't know why they changed it. Needs to go back. The lock needs to happen right before the team takes the field. I don't know why they changed it. Go back. The road uniforms with the powder blue numbers and stripes has to go. That has got to go. You got to start looking like yourself again. I'm pro powder blue. I love powder blue. I love the helmets. I love the home tops. Um, your traditional uniforms also look pretty awesome, and it would you should look like yourself again in some of those areas as well. Um, I mean, I think that the coordinator should talk to the media more. I think those kind of things need to happen. Appreciate both of you guys coming in. Thank you. Hey Creed, if you pay me, I will absolutely mention your clinic on here. I've actually I've been to you guys before, and you were a big help. But no free plugs. No free plugs. I did, for those seeing the comments, see it. I have been there, and you guys really did help me out a ton, but no free plugs. Hey, Kyle, Florida fan, man, nobody cares about John Summerall in this chat. Just go away, please. Nobody cares. Big Texas Tech and Georgia fan this week? Yes, absolutely. Who would Ole Miss play at 11 if Duke loses? Virginia. If Virginia loses, then I don't know what would happen there. Because you also have to look at the others. I mean, if James Madison wins and Tulane wins, or North Texas, they're both ranked, would they both stay above Duke? I don't know the answer to that. They should, but will they? I simply just don't know the answer to that. Um, I think that would be a big problem for the college football playoff, to be honest with you, because Miami, I mean, shoot, guys, Miami's ranked 12. You're going to let James Madison and North Texas jump Miami for 2 spots in the playoff? Is that really the kind of system that we want? No, the answer is no. Do we know how Kewan and Trinidad feel about Kiffin? I mean, look, it's been reported that Trinidad and Kiffin had a good relationship, and he liked him. Well, he was the quarterback. One of the few players that Kiffin builds relationships with is the quarterback. So that makes sense. I mean, Kewan was at the basketball game tonight, seemed to be in good spirits. I don't know. But look, if they're sad that he's gone, which I don't think, I'm not saying that. I actually did see Trinidad tonight. We were at the Connerly ceremony, and he seemed to be comfortable and content and in good spirits and interacting with his coaches, no problem. Joe Judge being there helps a ton. But I'm sure the two of them, especially Trinidad, were fed the same BS that a lot of the other people involved in this were. And he was probably and has probably been silent, I would assume, because didn't know who his primary play. I shouldn't speculate like this, but I don't think you really have to worry about their motivation in the playoff. I really don't think so. If Georgia wins and Indiana loses, could Ole Miss move up to 5? I don't think that an undefeated Indiana losing a conference championship game is going to fall behind Ole Miss, because remember, it's the extra game that Ole Miss wouldn't have to play, that everybody else wouldn't have to play. I don't think it's fair to drop a team too far after they play an extra game. Moscona wouldn't be calling Weis the LSU OC if he wasn't. Shouldn't be allowed anywhere near our football team. Are you sure about that first sentence? Are you sure? Any rumors about opt-outs? I would be shocked if there are any. I mean, maybe one. But no consequential player is going to do that. Is there anything to take away from Kewan and Kevin Smith sitting away from the team at the basketball game tonight? I mean, Look, if you made me bet, I would bet on Keywan Lacey being somewhere else next year. If you made me bet, I don't know that for sure though. I mean, he was hanging out, walking around the student section, taking pictures with people and stuff. The entire team wasn't there, so he was at least there. What about the other guys that weren't? I don't know. I mean, that trying to decipher that is going to just drive you crazy. Charlie's statement sounded like a hostage note. It really did. It really did. So Lane gives Charlie the game plan? No. Charlie makes the game plan. Lane adjusts in game as needed. How bad will the recruiting fallout be tomorrow? How confident are you that the staff is able to supplement the loss with portal ads? Stronger chance Austin Simmons sticks around. Now, Austin Simmons appears to be very close with Pete Golding. He has been one hell of a teammate through all of this stuff. Getting hurt, losing his job, all that. He's been awesome. You should be very confident that at least defensively they should be able to supplement in the portal. They've done a really good job there with evaluations and things like that. But ask that question again when we know who the 2026 offensive coordinator is going to be at Ole Miss. Ask me then, and then we'll know. They have a lot of money. They have so many resources compared to what people think Ole Miss has, apparently. Their ability to get guys out of the portal is not disappearing with Lane Kiffin. The recruiting operation is going to be really sound under Pete Golding. It will be. Wonder if Kiffin is helping from the shadows. Not at all. If anything, he would try to make everything worse for Ole Miss. It's a season we've been dreaming of since 2010. I mean, absolutely. And now, you know what this does, by the way? Now that the ranking is what it is, all of the crap that you, the fans, have dealt with over the last few weeks in what should have been that magical season, it just hit me, by the way. Tucker, what's up, man? How are you? It just hit me that it's you. Great to hear from you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing really well. You deserve to be doing really well, my friend. But instead of enjoying what should have been a pretty magical season, you guys have had to deal with the Lane Kiffin crap. Now that there's closure, he's gone and the ranking didn't get affected, you can now go back to enjoying it again. I mean, you can make your plans for what you're going to do for the playoff, and you've got 2.5 weeks to just talk about it, right? We're going to spend so much less time talking about Lane Kiffin other than taking shots about what a disgusting human leaves behind their dog that they were faking was theirs anyway for at least a couple of years. I mean, that's the worst thing Lane Kiffin's done in all of this is leaving the dog behind. That I still can't wrap my mind around. I still can't get past the dog thing. Can't get past it. But now, like Thursday, we're just going to talk playoffs. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk playoffs. Next week, we're going to have Pete Golding on the radio show. And so I'll get to bring that to you guys. And I'm in line to talk to a couple of players as well. And like that kind of stuff is going to be now what we're talking about. And what you guys get to hear about. And what you get to talk about amongst yourselves and with your friends. There's closure now. You get to just enjoy again. Happy to see that Kiffin allowed you to do a live stream tonight. Yeah, this whole Weis thing is odd. I think I need to learn more before I comment more. True or false, the LSU era will end messier than the Ole Miss era? Ooh. I don't know how much more messy you can get than walking away from a playoff team. I mean, this is a joke. I mean, the only way it gets messier is if it's a personal fallout similar to Hugh Freeze, right? Wouldn't be surprised if that's on the table. Sorry, scrolling through some comments. I don't want to be repetitive, and I'm way behind on them anyway. Charlie seems like a good dude. Don't necessarily blame the assistants going because it's job security, but he didn't seem like the vindictive type at all. No, I mean it was again. They're threatened is basic. I mean that's the right word. Their futures were threatened, and so I understand why there was why it went down kind of the way it did. And then you see somebody like John Garrison return. I believe it was a multi-year deal to stick around. Why the entire defensive staff stuck around. Not everybody fell for that. Time to get Porky riled up. How could he leave the dog? Man, I've been talking about that on the radio show for 2 days. I can't get over it. I really can't get past the dog thing. Bringing in a dog and then just after a little while pawning it off on now Wild Rose is amazing. Everything you hear about that place is amazing. But still, pawning your dog off on them and just disappearing without it is just I truly I'm oversensitive to it right now, but it is truly the worst thing that he's done in all of this. Ole Piss needs LSU coaches now. LOL. There might be a couple more people from the LSU staff headed to the former LSU staff headed to Oxford. And you know what's going to be funny about that? Fred, the LSU fan, the adult man that uses the phrase "old piss." Um, the funny thing about that is LSU people have argued for so long. Look at I mean, look at how all the great players that they got and all the great players that they got. And man, Austin Thomas is awesome. And then when he leaves, suddenly he's going to be a bum. It's amazing. Just like a few months ago, Brian Kelly was a better coach than Lane Kiffin until something changed there. So yeah, Fred, that they do. And LSU needs Ole Miss coaches. And LSU tried to get a lot more Ole Miss coaches than they actually did get. LSU was told no a lot more than they expected to be. Fred. I feel like Pete Golding would fist fight someone for messing with his guys. I think his guys feel that. I'm here for it. Loyalty and fist fights, absolutely. I mean, that was something that really stood out over the last few weeks as well. The complete lack of and ability to defend your team, both in the playoff rankings when Ole Miss fell, despite not losing, and not advocating at every turn for Trinidad and Kewan Lacey for these postseason awards. I mean, Clark Lee's doing an interview today with a Pavia hat on because he wants Pavia to go to the Heisman ceremony. You didn't get any of that. You didn't get any fight for his team at all. All you got was, teenage girl BS is what you got. And again, he's a hell of a football coach. He compensates for all of his shortcomings by being an outstanding football coach. And just because Pete's going to be different doesn't mean he's going to be as good or better or worse. We don't know. But you're not going to get this Taylor Swift era BS from your head coach anymore. Hope Baker gets the Tulane job. That would be pretty funny. Just worried Chambliss, Lacey, and Watkins would go to LSU. Think Lane knew he was leaving and was already courting certain players. He was absolutely doing that. Look, a lot of players are going to leave every program. It's modern college football. Don't fall in love with players until they commit back to you, expect everything and celebrate whoever remains. You've got a couple of defensive linemen that are going to stick around. Celebrate those guys. Your offensive line that has been very outspoken about what happened to them. Celebrate those guys. Centarian Perkins, celebrate that guy. But never find yourself surprised by a player leaving any school. Oh, Fred. Oh, Fred. Y'all tried to kill Kiffin and his son. Who does that? Nobody, because it didn't happen. It was a lie. It didn't happen. They had a police escort. It didn't happen. Can't believe anybody bought into that. I mean, I understand why you, Fred, the LSU fan, did, but let's see. Work in Baton Rouge, and it's interesting to see their reactions and all the narratives that have been coming out of Baton Rouge over the course of this thing. Just wait. Just wait. Sorry, just don't want to get repetitive, so I'm scrolling through. A lot of comments. Really appreciate all of you being here. If I skip yours, it's only because there's just too many, and it's already almost 11 o'clock. Do we think that Kiffin is trying to burn it down so that Ole Miss, quote, can't succeed without him? 100%. 100%. It would look way better for him if he leaves and Ole Miss goes back to 5-7 rather than he leaves and they don't regress. 100%. Absolutely. It would be justification for the decision in his head. Absolutely, it would. Almost gave him some wiggle room. A lot of people in Baton Rouge, the ones floating the NIL that want that monkey to dance. Yeah, good luck. Just a lot of Zach Berry said 17 of the 19 commits are expected to sign. That I mean, then you just throw a parade. That would be awesome. That really would. If you get 17 players in a recruiting class when you changed coaches 2 days ago, it's pretty damn good, is what that is. Don't know about Texas Tech. That's the one team in the playoff that can shut down the Ole Miss offense. They're that good. But yes, Texas Tech, very good. Defensive front, outstanding. Would you not rather play Texas Tech than Georgia or Ohio State? I would take my chance with Texas Tech over Georgia or Ohio State if you gave me the choice. No, they're very good though. I see that your handle is you're based in Texas. I hope that you didn't take that as disrespect to your Red Raiders. I love the Texas Tech story. This is why I have defended the NIL era, to be honest with you, because you have programs like Texas Tech that can compete. I would rather play them, though, than Ohio State if you gave me the chance. I feel like we missed a collaboration opportunity, not getting into the SEC championship game. Ludacris is going to be there performing. Did you see Dane Bradshaw on the broadcast made reference to that? Did you see that? That was unbelievable. He even said after, he goes, I'm going to get us in trouble. Man. Does OPD have tag readers? If somebody tried to run his car off the road, he would be in jail already. I mean, that's not even worth entertaining. Not even worth entertaining. Talking about Ole Miss being ranked ahead of Oregon based on strength of schedule difference. That can't change now, though. Ole Miss, I don't think anyway, if history does set a precedent, when two teams don't play, I don't think they're going to move in relationship to each other. That wouldn't make sense to me. You've decided today that Oregon's ahead of Ole Miss. Oregon does not play this weekend. Ole Miss does not play this weekend. How can you jump one over the other? Don't get me started on the dog. I'm telling you. Thomas. You don't want me started because I won't shut up about it. I can't stop thinking about it. How you can leave a dog behind. Look at Ole Miss's recruiting under Lane before Pete arrived. Yeah, we've talked about that on here a lot. The high school recruiting on the defensive side of the football changed dramatically after Pete Golding got there. Why is Pete being so disrespectful to the players and not making it about himself? That was the most amazing line of all of this. The second worst thing that he did, the first is the dog. The second is the trying to gaslight you guys into thinking that it was disrespectful to the players to commit to them. That was what he tried to convince people that it's disrespectful to my team to commit to them long term. Get out of here. Need a new mascot. They make Juice the doggo werewolf or dog man, and it become the here. I would though. Juice would make appearances for the rest of his life. I would get Wild Rose to walk him through the Grove, and he'd come on the field, and I would keep him around. And here's why I would keep him around because every time anybody sees that dog at an Ole Miss event, they are reminded that Lane Kiffin left his dog behind every time. And also, it's a lab. Who doesn't love labs? Labs are awesome. You have this incredible facility in your town anyway. I mean, do a collaboration with them. Have a bunch of labs running around. You're awesome dogs. You don't need a mascot that's related to your school's nickname. Just have Wild Rose bring a bunch of labs around the Grove. And I mean, if you've ever walked a dog through the Grove, you know how popular the dogs are, right? Everybody loves dogs. So just make that a thing. Just have labs walking around. Any thoughts on Moscona's take on Keith Carter? One of the most misinformed things I've ever heard an otherwise very intelligent person say. I mean that is of all the takes on this, blaming Keith Carter's indecisiveness and lack of leadership through all of this is the most misinformed position that I have seen anybody have through all of this saga. It is. I like him a ton. I do. Brilliant, like very talented broadcaster, has a massive following, is building really good things down there. Um, could not possibly be less informed than you are making that statement. Just going to go ahead and get rid of that. It was also clear Lane screwed over Chris Lowe. Oh boy, Chris is hot right now online. I don't know what happened there, but it's obvious something did happen there. And if you're really it's just burning bridges, unnecessarily burning bridges. Will Trinidad leave? I don't know. I really don't know. You want AJ McCarron to get the quarterback coach job. He wants it badly. It's interesting. He seems really smart. I mean, what kind of coaching experience does he have? I know it's kind of a goofy question considering that he played, at the highest level. So it's kind of, well, what kind of coach is he? Well, he played at the highest level, but I'd be interested in what a role for him would look like and be like. If Trinidad can't get a waiver, I think there's a much better chance now Simmons returns. Yes, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback position. We have to wait and see who the full-time offensive coordinator is going to be before we start talking about that. But I wouldn't be surprised if Simmons sticks around as well. If Trinidad's gone for one reason or another, would not be surprised at all if Austin Simmons is still the quarterback at Ole Miss. I would not have said that 2 months ago, but things might have changed on that front. How is Charlie ever going to get out of Lane's shadow and get respect if he just follows him along like a puppy dog? See, that's another thing that I wondered is you've called brilliant offense, but you also don't really get the credit for it. But you still would have been able to land a job outside from under the Kiffin umbrella. Why would you not take a shot on that to prove that you're really good at this without needing him? I don't know. Tired of playing Texas Tech in the postseason. Not only the postseason, but there was a season opener with Texas Tech too. Now, just throw Oklahoma State in there and have the Ole Miss Bowl opponent trifecta. Can they keep Watkins? Of all the players that would follow Kiffin to LSU, Watkins would be the one that I would bet on the most. He might not, but that would be the one I would bet on the most. Demarius Yates is someone you're keeping an eye on. You believe if he signs tomorrow, Kevin Smith is likely to return. Interesting. He's confirmed he's sticking with Ole Miss. There you go. The dog thing should have him blacklisted going forward. The ultimate character flaw. No kidding. No kidding. Juicy's Lane next year when LSU visits. Bites him, please, Jesus. A&M has a dog. Why can't we have one? Seriously. I mean, people of all ages love dogs, and labs are among the best. Just lean into it. Hey, you got Wild Rose down the road. Collaborate with him somehow. Just lean into the dogs. If Georgia's ranked 2 and Indiana's ranked 3, Ole Miss then has a better loss than Oregon to go along with better wins. I would argue it's already a better loss, but it shouldn't be questioned. I'd still, and maybe I'm wrong about this, maybe a bad read. I still maintain that they're not going to flip teams that didn't play. When both teams are next to each other and neither of them played, I don't know how you flip them. Nothing has changed. What are they now is what they are. Simmons has elbow surgery and plays baseball. I would doubt that. Been enjoying you talking with the burners on the Twitter Spaces. That is kind of fun, actually. I've never done those before. Apparently, Winnie is pissed at Lane per Ja'Kai Mills night. I have not heard that, but I mean, look, man, the players are young, and college students at times are easily manipulated, but they're not stupid. They now, I would assume now, can look back and really see what went down in all this. They win 11 games, and their coach pulls what he pulled. They're not stupid. They sit back and I would assume have sat back and seen that and thought, man, what a clown that guy is. How could anybody in their right mind leave what the team currently built? Kublik said it. Bill Cowher said it. There is a mentality that comes with being a competitor, not just a football player, but being a competitor. And to willingly walk away from a team in the midst of a run to a championship is cowardly, is what that is. There's no other way around it. People doing oh, well, you would leave for a better job too if you were offered. That's just so unbelievably disingenuous. It is. Once you resign from your job, your previous employer gets to tell you what to do. You have no say in how your resignation goes once you turn it in. That's the real life example. Oh, all of you would do the same thing. I didn't. I was given the opportunity. And I certainly would not, if I was leaving Super Talk, walk down the halls with my middle fingers out. I certainly would not be doing that. So there's so much garbage in the discourse when it comes to stuff like that. Because again, once you turn in your resignation, your former employer, gets to decide what happens to you. You don't get to stay on for special projects or anything like that. When you resign, you're out. That's how that works. And that team sat back and not only watched their coach resign, but watched him sit back and threaten members of the staff that they care about on his way out the door. They're smart enough to see through that. Burner spaces are great until everyone forgets to mute their mics. Yeah, no kidding. They flipped Alabama Notre Dame with the Texas A&M loss. But Alabama played, and Notre Dame played. They played games. That's also a factor. Now, I don't like Hunter Yurachek's explanation for Alabama's win being impressive because Auburn won 5 games, but they did play. And so that went into that factor as well. I do think you're looking at a scenario where they can sneak Miami in with a Texas Tech win over BYU. I do wonder if they're setting that up. But Miami and Notre Dame don't play this weekend. So how can you flip them since Miami's currently behind them? But does feel like that is something that's on the table as well. I don't know. I don't know. But it is after 11. So we're going to go ahead and hang it up. I really appreciate you guys as always. And we'll be back on Thursday talking playoffs. Just playoffs. We're going to talk about football on Thursday. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about signing day. We're going to talk about staff and stuff like that. I want you guys to make me a promise. Unless something new happens in this Kiffin deal, don't comment the phrase Lane Kiffin on Thursday. Can we do that? We'll talk about Golding. We'll talk about signing day, any staff announcements that come out between now and then, any player statements that come out between now and then. But unless something new happens, there's no reason to talk about it anymore. So anyway, I'll see you guys Thursday. You have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you then.